Welcome to the sound of the start of the weekend. Not the top 20s betting show, sponsored by AK Bets. Reduced slate, but an inflated sense of excitement in the room. We got 5 picks at 4-1 or longer, including an 11-1 under 2.5 goals quad. This podcast is for over 18s only. We talk about betting and making betting picks. Gambling comes with significant risks, so be aware of them. Head to gambleaware.org to brush up on the risks that come with gambling. I'm Ali Maxwell, and he is George Elek. All good?
All good, thank you. How are you?
You saw...
International break.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you took the opportunity to go to a gig last night where you saw Hot Chip.
No. You keep getting that wrong. I saw Joe Goddard, who is part of Hot Chip.
Half of Hot Chip.
There's more. Well, there are 2 kind of main men, and he's one of those. But I wouldn't say he's half. He's just kind of one part.
Is he the one who I'd have heard singing?
No.
Over and over and over
Although
and over and over.
Alexis, who is the singer, he came out and did the last song with him last night. It was very good. It was enjoyable. It was his solo stuff. It was fun. I had a good time.
Last week, we both got 2 out of our 4 picks up. We were both slightly up for the week, slightly in profit. George, I felt, had a really impressive weekend.
Thank you.
Got your nap and your next best up, which I always just think is really clean. It's a clean way of getting 2 out of 4.
Still yet to put a goal scorer winner up this season.
Okay, something to target. Leeds winning to 0 at home at the moment feels like a bit of a cheat code, and that was your nap at even money, my next best. You also got Wickham to win at Wigan, and it could have been more. You know, you had Scott Hogan at 5-2. MK scored 3 against Swindon. Hogan didn't score, and especially tough to take, I imagine, was watching him run through 1-on-1 and then decide to play a square pass for a tap in. Basically botched it, didn't even get tapped in, and Hogan didn't get his goal. And then that Derby 1-0 long shot, I mean, it was 1-1, and Argyle's equaliser deflected free kick from range. So impressive picks, I felt. As for me, it was next best in goal scorer. So my Huddersfield to 0 nap was no good. Crawley scoring with 2 of their 3 shots. Jordan Thomas, my long shot goal scorer. He had 4 long shots, but 3 of them were blocked at source. For the second time, it was his mate Ethan Archer that scored instead. So fair play, I've been getting that one wrong. But my next best was that Leeds win to 0. And I've had to change my name by deed poll to Alassana Maxwell after Notts County striker Alassana Jatta scored at 11-4 for me for the second time this season.
He's a bit of a cheat code, isn't he?
He does feel like a bit of a cheat code. What's your best bet?
My best bet is BTTS no in Barrow against AFC Wimbledon.
Oh, God.
Yeah. Which is relatively bleak. It's 20-23, which is the best price in the market with AK Bets. And I think it should be quite a lot shorter than that. Because in my mind, I think we have 2 of the best defences in the division coming up against each other here. 2 sides who don't see many goals within their games. 2 sides where, if we look at the recent trends, under 2.5 has copped in all of Barrow's last 5 games. And BTTS no has copped in every single one of AFC Wimbledon's games, apart from the 3-2 defeat against Port Vale, which was a weird one, but that was because an early goal in that game kind of made any form go out of the window, as the cliche would say. So Barrow in particular have the lowest expected goals against total in the whole division if you start at the beginning of October. They are really solid from a defensive perspective and have probably conceded more goals this season than they actually have deserved to, but they're winless in their last 5 up against the Wimbledon side who are fresh off a back-to-back defeats. The most recent, I was there in a 1-0 defeat against Grimsby, where from an attacking perspective I was really surprised by how, even despite being behind from the majority of the game, they were unable to be a particularly constant goal threat. But defensively, they were still very solid, and it was only one of the assists of the season from Kieran Green that unlocked the defence and enabled Danny Rose to score. This just stinks to me of a game where either it'll be a stalemate, or whichever team goes ahead within the game will stay in shape and be resolute and not concede many chances. So I think this, it was looking through basically every market at the weekend, not just the match odds that we normally look at for our naps next best. This was the one price where I looked at it and thought, no, I don't think that is a fair reflection of the way this game will go.
Here's a fun one.
Okay.
If I tell you that at 3:25 on Saturday, you're watching the Gillette Soccer Saturday video printer and a goal goes in at Barrow, Who would you prefer to score to make it 1-0 in order for your BTTS no pick to be most likely to come in?
Dons.
Wimbledon. Nice. Cool. My nap is in the big game of the weekend, as I see it. That is Stockport against Wrexham in League One. I'm picking the home team, Stockport, to win at 11-8 with AK Bets, joint best price in the market. This is the match of the weekend in that it is two teams that finished first and second in League Two last season in what was a brilliant renewal of League Two, it's certainly in terms of the strength of the automatically promoted teams. And there are only 4 points between the two teams at the moment. But it's Wrexham in front at the moment on 28 points, Stockport on 24. But Stockport have played a game more. So Wrexham in better form to start this season. Stockport have had a pretty nutty 10 days or so, haven't they? Losing 5-0 last midweek at home to Wycombe and then winning 5-0 on Saturday at home to Bolton. I think it's unsurprising that I feel the 5-0 win at home to Bolton is a fairer reflection of Stockport's quality and where I think their level is as a team, rather than a defeat against Wycombe, which I think can be put down to a bit of an aberration. They've not been unbelievable at home this season. Stockport, 4 wins, 2 draws, 2 defeats, 14 points from 8. But Wrexham away from home is a big part of this. You have referenced a number of times since the start of last season, since they entered our stratosphere in League Two, that Wrexham under Phil Parkinson away from home and Wrexham under Parkinson at home are as different as one team can be in its home and away guises. And they're not that good away from home. They're like, their approach to away games is to try and draw them 0-0, basically. Well, obviously not. It's to try and win them 1-0 with like a set-piece goal. Now, it obviously worked for them in terms of helping them to accumulate a lot of points and avoid defeat away from home last season in the main. This season in League One, it's going okay. I mean, away from home, they've only lost 2, but they've only won 2 and drawn 3. So it's 9 points from 7 away games. It's not a great return for a team challenging for promotion. I note that in their away games, they've only played 2 teams in the top 10, and they were easily second best against Birmingham in that game that we all watched on Sky, and then against Bolton, which was also on Sky. Bolton with a better side in a 0-0 draw. So I think like Wrexham away from home, I'm just quite keen to try and get against. I think last season is still relevant here, even though it was League Two rather than League One, because it's the same managers in charge, similar core to each squad. Last season, Stockport at home, 15 wins, 5 draws, 3 defeats, 50 points from 23 games. Wrexham away from home, 9 wins, 7 draws, 7 defeats, 34 points from 23 games. So I think Stockport at home versus Wrexham away, to me, clearly the Stockport at home are the stronger side here. It was 5-0 to Stockport in this fixture last season at Edgeley Park. They've got, in Louis Barry, one of the 2 stars of the division so far, him and Fosu, top goal scorers with 10 goals. He's scoring from range, he's scoring from inside the box, he's scoring from the penalty spot. Per Nathan Evans on Twitter, he ranks first for shots on target, successful dribbles, second for goal involvements. Like, in a game where I think Wrexham are going to look to frustrate Stockport in possession and make it as hard as possible for them to play through, and probably won't be particularly ambitious in their approach. I think someone like Barry is just absolutely crucial as someone who can kind of break the game open with a bit of individual quality. The underlying numbers kind of backs up this pick. As I see it, Stockport at home, really strong underlying numbers as you'd expect. They take twice as many shots as their opposition at Edgeley Park, and Wrexham away from home, 3rd lowest non-penalty XG. Away from home. So really struggle to create consistent opportunities in this current approach. I think Stockport have the better options off the bench. I expect them to have the better of the game and to win it. And I think at 11-8, that's more than good enough for me price-wise. So Stockport in what is going to be kind of the most interesting game of the weekend for me. Stockport my nap here. Next best.
Yeah, a bit of a weird one. I'm going for Newport County, draw no bet at 11-10 at home to Grimsby. Best price with AK Bets, which surprises me.
Someone tweeted us this week saying Elek is a Mariner.
Yeah, I'm just doing this just to,
to quash those rumours.
Yeah.
I said, no, he's a Mariner in-law. Your in-laws are Mariners and you were in that away end last week.
As we know, Grimsby always win away. 5 away wins in a row for Grimsby Town. They have beaten Carlisle 3-2, Gillingham 1-0, Salford 2-1, Tranmere 1-0 and AFC Wimbledon 1-0. All 5 wins by a solitary goal. And if you dig into the numbers, I'm afraid to say, like most winning away runs, this isn't going to last. Right. David Artell's Grimsby Town are playing very well and deserve immense credit for the way they are seeing these games out. However, they haven't solved away games. They're not shutting down the opposition. It is a case where the combination of their keeper making some very big saves and the opposition being pretty wasteful has been and them being very clinical. If the underlying numbers continue the way they are, where against AFC Wimbledon, against Salford, I think against Gillingham as well, they are losing the XG battle in all of these games, then eventually things are going to turn around. And in Newport, they've got a team that have a bit of an identity crisis to an extent, I think, where sometimes they can put in very good performances and sometimes they are incredibly poor. Like, that feels like the difference between their best and worst performances are as wide as any other team in the league. But they've already beaten some pretty good teams at home this season. And I basically, this is a pure price thing where Grimsby are 11-8 to win this game, based on presumably their good away record, when I think the smart thing to do is to basically short that winning run. So apologies to my Grimsby Town friends who will be in the away terrace. They made a great noise last weekend, but I'm not convinced that the winning run will continue. I'm getting odds against taking the draw out as an insurance policy is, I think, a value play.
Okay, I'm going in League One with Northampton double chance at Blackpool this weekend. 7-5 with AK bets is the joint best price. Really, really interesting. This something I'm excited about this pick. It's two teams that are both on 16 points from 14 games. One of them has a -3 goal difference and has lost one game in their last 5 in the league. One of them has a -7 goal difference and has lost 4 games of their last 5 in the league. Yet it's that team that are 1.53 to win this game with AK bets. I really want to be against that team, Blackpool, at the moment. I find their current performances incredibly unimpressive. But it's about Northampton as well. Impressive at Birmingham last weekend. Really good game plan from John Brady. Spot on, basically, making sure that Birmingham, who were always going to have territory and shots, had shots with a lot of bodies between the shooter and the goal. A lot of shots blocked, big chances restricted. And then having gone behind, which, again, is something that you probably legislate for, they then created, they'd already created quite a few chances themselves, Northampton. Allsop had made some good saves. They played right to the end and got an equaliser through Pinnock and Drew 1-1. And that plays into what I think, temperament-wise, is a Northampton team that you can really trust. I think if you're backing Northampton as a neutral, you don't know much about them. One thing I'm pretty clear on is that I think it's a team that really fights for its manager, fights till the end. He's got incredible authority. The team are in tune with him, and the way that they play, the way that they battle, is the reason why they've A, got to League One level, and B, stayed up so far and are looking like they will again this season. Blackpool's right side last weekend was absolutely destroyed by Leyton Orient in a 3-0 defeat. So I'm kind of hoping that Tariq Fosu is back from what was a sort of slight hamstring injury last week. Tyler Roberts couldn't play against Birmingham because he was ineligible on loan from Blues, but surely will be back here. I think Northampton's points tally is more impressive when you realise that 10 of their 14 games have been against top half teams. And against the 4 bottom half teams they've played, they've won 2, drawn 1 and lost 1, conceding just 1 goal in that time. This Blackpool team I'm really worried about. Not impressive for quite a while now. A style being implemented that's left them very exposed and leaky, but also an attacking style which is quite direct and it can be dangerous. But they're almost playing too quickly for me at the moment. Like, they really feel to me like they're lacking control or precision. I think the way that Northampton are going to approach this game, they're unlikely to be like caught cold on the break by this Blackpool side, which is where I think they're probably most dangerous. So for a number of reasons, I really am keen to get against Blackpool, particularly because their underlying numbers over the course of the season still have them projecting as one of the top teams in the league, top 4, top 6 team. I don't see this current Blackpool team like that at all, so I think there's value in getting against them. It's obviously paid pretty well in the last 5 games. They've lost 4 of them. We're getting the draw and the away win on side here at 7-5. I like it a lot. Cobblers, double chance, Northampton Town at Blackpool. For anyone looking to sign up to AK Bets, do use the promo code NTT100. The link is in the show notes. If you click that, it'll take you straight onto the site and apply the promo code automatically. And the offer is this. If your first bet is an accumulator on football with a minimum of 4 selections, AK Bets will boost the profit gained on that initial bet by 25% in the form of a free bet up to a value of £100. Further T's and C's are available on the website. And again, the link is in the description of the podcast. Tell me about your goal scorer pick this weekend.
I'm kind of piggybacking off your next best, but I agree with you that Northampton do seem a huge price, especially because Blackpool's defensive shape at the moment is really lacking, and they're conceding a lot of goals.
A load of cobblers.
Yeah, and the player that I'm pretty sure will start up front for Northampton Town here is 9-2 to score anytime, which I don't think is right. And that player is Tyler Roberts, who fits the mould for a goal scorer bet in quite a few different ways. Firstly, he's been playing pretty much as a lone striker when he's played for Northampton this season, and I think he's probably priced up as not being a striker because he's played a lot of his career up to this point as an attacking midfielder or a wide player, so that's good. He's one of the biggest XG underperformers in the league. His expected goals total this season is 1.75. He's yet to score, so he's getting into goal scoring positions. He is yet to find the back of the net, but we know that he has the quality to do so. And also, he was sent off in the end of September, so had a one-game suspension, and then he couldn't play against his parent club, Birmingham, last time out. So he is fresh. He's had 10 days off, and I'm pretty sure he'll come back into the side, relishing the opportunity to get back to it. So, for him to be 9-2 to score any time, for all the reasons you mentioned, why Cobblers should have a shout within this, and he should be starting up front, and there's no reason why he won't play 90 minutes if he does so. I think this is a bit of an oversight in terms of not only the game he's playing in, but the position and the role he'll play as well. So, Roberts, 9-2, AK bets matching the top price out there. 9-2 to score anytime is my goal scorer bet. Hopefully, if he gets bet through 1-on-1, he shoots.
Yeah, my goal scorer is a player that I doubt's been mentioned at all this season until the Monday pod, and has been a real sort of main character of the EFL this week. It's Kieran Zinedine Green, Grimsby Town's absolute hero at the top of the midfield. I think he's playing, will I go as far as to say second striker? No, but I think I would go as far as to say in a number 10 role for Grimsby this season. They've had really high-performing midfield of George McEachran and Evan Curry recently. Both of them pretty comfortable on the ball, both of them pretty tenacious and playing really well. Now, Kieran Green's played 10 games for Grimsby this season. He's scored 2 goals. He's made 3 assists, including the incredible mind-bending assist that you saw in the
mind-bending, leg-bending, foot-bending and ball-bending.
Yeah, exactly. But what I've noticed is he's breaking forward a lot more than he ever has done that I've seen in his career so far, where I've always seen him as more of a number 6 or a box-to-box. He's now playing, in my eyes, that kind of Gavin Holohan role for Grimsby, where he's a central midfielder, but he's got a really attacking role. His job is to support the striker Danny Rose, who's obviously one of the league's sort of premier target men. He scored a goal against Gillingham where he broke forward, ran in behind and finished well. He scored a goal against Barrow where the play was built up down the side, cross came in, Green was in the middle and scored a header. I think those are the 2 classic goals of the exact tactical role that he is fulfilling. Breaking forward to support attacks and penetrating the back line by running in behind from deep, and being inside the box when the ball is out wide and attacking crosses. He's had more touches inside the box per 90 than Danny Rose this season. So the most for Grimsby in the league this season per 90, Kieran Green getting on the ball inside the box. Very similar to Rose in terms of shots per game. And I'm afraid I'm quite anti-Newport at the moment. Absolutely take your point about Grimsby unlikely to win every away game from now to the end of time. Possibly haven't just cracked away games. But looking at Newport, I feel like the early season vibes around the new takeover and the good feeling around the place has somewhat worn off. And I think what it's exposed is quite a low performance level and just quite a flimsy team, basically, without much experience. So I think there's a set-piece angle here too. I was looking at Harvey Rogers. I was looking at Cameron McJanet. I don't find either of them hugely compelling from a centre-back point of view. Danny Rose is obviously a good target for set-pieces, but Green's a pretty big boy as well in central midfielder terms. And I think he is, he'll be in the box for the set-pieces, and I think that Grimsby will have opportunities against a team in Newport who've given up the most set-piece shots in the league so far this season. So Kieran Green at 11-2, not sure I ever said his price, at 11-2, given the role that he's playing, and given that I'm a bit hotter on Grimsby this weekend than you are, we could have the perfect crime where Newport win 2-1 and Kieran Green scores for Grimsby. That'd be nice.
Ideal.
Kieran Green, 11-2 for Grimsby Town, my goal scorer. Long shot.
Yeah, I'm copying your FA Cup pick from a couple of weeks ago and going for Chesterfield -2. They're away at Harrogate, and this is crazy. Chesterfield have won 4 away games this season, and they've covered the -2 in all of them.
What?
They beat Donny 3-0, they beat Crewe 5-0, they beat Newport 3-0, and they beat Morecambe 5-2.
Wow.
So, I mean, part of me is like, well, that's not going to continue. But also, I think it shows this is a Chesterfield side that when they get their teeth into a team, are able to basically continue to press forward, continue to create chances and score goals. They're up against Harrogate side, who've already been beaten 5-1 at home this season by a decent MK Dons team. They're a big kind of Jekyll and Hyde side at home this season, winning 3 games, losing all of the others. Chesterfield come here fresh off a pretty humbling defeat last time out, where they were beaten 3-0 by Accrington. I'm pretty sure that off the back of that, Paul Cook and his team are going to want to send out a bit of a message. We saw what happened with Stockport. After they were beaten 5-0 by Wickham, they returned the favour to Bolton a couple of days later. I could kind of see a similar reaction here. Harrogate aside, when things aren't going well, concede loads of chances. Chesterfield, as we've said, when things are going well, score lots of goals. So at 6-1 for this to be a bit of a mauling from the away side is the way I'm looking to play this. But I caveat it by saying that every time I ever seem to get against Harrogate, they win the game. So good luck, Harrogate
Yeah, they
fans.
are a bit like that, aren't they? My long shot is Lincoln to win 1-0 or 2-0 at Exeter this weekend. So the guys at AK Bets have built this in the special section of the website. The price is 9-2 for Lincoln 1-0 or 2-0 correct scoreline. I find it really hard to imagine that Exeter Lincoln is going to be a high scoring game. I don't think that. I just think the way that both teams play, it's very hard for me to imagine that it'll be an open game with a lot of shots for either side. Exeter league games so far have averaged 1.85 goals per game this season, a really, really low margin stuff. And in their last 8 league games, BTTS has copped only once. 6 of 8 have been either a 1-0 or a 2-0 win either way. And obviously Exeter are having a good season, have picked up a lot of points and a lot of wins. But I think Lincoln are a slightly better team overall, and certainly in the context of this weekend and international call-ups are much stronger heading into this game. Now, Josh Magennis, Ilmari Niskanen and Kamari Doyle have all been called up by their international teams and are missing for Exeter in this game. Caldwell, the manager, and the club are furious. They released a statement basically saying, we want this game to be postponed, but the way that the rules work, because Kamari Doyle's call-up was delayed, he was replacing someone that had been called up and then dropped out, they missed the window in which they could request a postponement, so the game has to go ahead. So they've essentially admitted they don't want to play this game because they think the 3 players that are unavailable are key players for them. Now, there's obviously that other side of it of, is this going to make them more determined than ever, get the crowd, us against the world type vibe, which can be quite powerful. I think what's also quite powerful is missing 3 key players. So they're missing their top scorer in Doyle, who's also, I'd say, the player that's probably got the most ability to conjure a goal from nothing in their team. And it's not a team that creates a ton of chances from open play. So having a player like that and missing a player like that is quite important. They're missing the focal point of their attack in Josh Magennis. Hasn't scored many goals, but he is a great target man at this level, does a huge amount of work physically to allow the more technical attacking players to thrive. He's obviously an experienced leader as well. And in Niskanen, someone that started every game this season for Exeter, very versatile and dependable player, plays off either side. On top of that, they're losing, or they've lost one of their best players from the early part of the season, Yefeko, on loan from Rangers, who's out injured as well. So basically 4 key players missing for Exeter, which I think for a team without a big budget that has generally quite small squads is more damaging than it would be for other teams. I think huge drop-off in particular between like Yefeko and Ben Purrington, who's playing instead of him at this time. So I think with their absences, they're really up against it, and they're up against a Lincoln side that I just see as a very professional outfit, quite consistent performance level, quite a high floor team. They are also not a team that generally blow teams away going forward. They eke out goals from set pieces and from counter-attacks in particular. That's where I've got the 2-0 onside here as well at a longer, which kind of bumps the price up, because I think they are a threat on the break if they do go ahead, and if Exeter commit men forward, I'd be excited for Lincoln on that attacking front with House, Kadamatri, Draper, Makama, whoever's playing up top to be able to hurt Exeter on the break. So Lincoln to win 1-0 or 2-0 at Exeter this weekend is my long shot. That's at 9-2 with AK Bets. You can back it already packaged up on the special section of the website. We're leaving behind goal bonanzas for now, because not too many games to choose from this week. We're going back to the old favourite, the unders fourfold, which has copped twice this season, one at 12-1, one at 10-1. We're bang in the middle this week, an 11-1 unders fourfold, of which you're contributing 2.
Indeed, yes. First, the games we've already discussed. No surprise that one of them is the Barrow Wimbledon game that I've said BTTS no for
Makes
all
sense.
the same reasons.
Yeah.
And then Exeter Lincoln, the game you were just talking about. Exeter's games this season have been, in the main, really low scoring. Only 2 games at home of theirs this season have gone over 2.5, and they're both 2-1 games. And similarly, Lincoln, away from home, we've had 3-1-alls, a 1-0. They're defensively very, very sound. It seems to me like a game, as per your 1-0 and 2-0 pick, a game that will see few chances.
Yeah, I'm adding Cambridge Barnsley in League One. Since Cambridge went back to basics, results have improved, and the games have been very, very low margin. Back to basics means getting rid, basically, not messing about with the ball at the back, which led to a few goals being conceded. They're not a team that generates a huge amount of attacking output. And 9 of their 13 games this season have gone unders, including 5 of 6 at the Abbey. I don't think there's much space to play in at the Abbey. It always feels quite cramped and quite tight, whether that's because of the way they play there or the dimensions of the ground. I'm not entirely sure, but it makes me think that Barnsley, who are really strong away side, won most of their away games this season. I think they're going to have a lot of space to play with width and the wing-backs that often thrive here. So I think it'll be quite attritional, under 2.5 goals in Cambridge, Barnsley. And lastly, Bromley and Carlisle. I think, to use that phrase, back to basics, mega signs that Mike Williamson has decided that he's not going to implement his style of play, maybe until January and beyond. He needs to grind out some wins. That's what they did last week, Carlisle, with a late win at Salford. But the football, they stopped passing basically at all. They were just playing long passes. Big change in style, and I would expect that to lead to a low-margin game here as well, where they're unlikely to cause themselves problems at the back by, with poor passing. But also, I'm just not entirely sure that they're going to create a lot of chances. 4 of the 7 goals they've scored under Williams so far have been from their centre-backs. Lavelle, Barkley, Mellish, still not creating much. They've dropped Harry Lewis, which, his shot-stopping performance was so poor that I think him coming out of the team is likely to lead to them conceding fewer goals, or at least a fewer proportion of the shots on target. And Bromley games, 9 of 14 have gone unders, so I think that the mixture of these two teams should be undersy. So the unders fourfold is in League 1, Exeter Lincoln and Cambridge versus Barnsley. In League 2, Bromley, Carlisle and Barrow against Wimbledon. That's at 11-1. You can back it on the AK Bet site in the specials section of the football part of the website. George, recap them selections.
Yeah, my nap is BTTS no in Barrow against AFC Wimbledon at 20-23. Newport, draw no bet, home to Grimsby at 11-10 is my next best. Tyler Roberts score any time for Northampton at Blackpool at 9-2 is my goal scorer, and Chesterfield -2 at 6-1 at Harrogate is my long shot. All of those best price in the market with our sponsors AK Bets.
A BTTS no nap.
Who would have thought?
The world's changing, not for the better. My nap is Stockport to beat Wrexham in League 1 at 11-8 with AK Bets. Northampton double chance at Blackpool at 7-5, my next best. My goal scorer is Kieran Green of Grimsby Town, 11-2. And my long shot is Lincoln 1-0 or Lincoln 2-0. Correct score at Exeter. That's in the special section of the AK Bets website, as is the unders fourfold at 11-1, Cambridge Barnsley, Exeter Lincoln, Barrow Wimbledon and Bromley Carlisle. Thank you very much to AK Bets for sponsoring the podcast. All that's left to do is to wish you all a disastrous weekend. I hope that your car breaks down. I hope that you get served a flat pint and the barman refuses to replenish it. And I hope that you get stuck at the self-service checkout for ages. It's really busy in there. There's not enough attendance. And it's just saying, approval needed. Approval needed. Approval needed. Go well.